The one brought out like last year, weren't they?
It was.
The resurrected, erect. I think that's the name. Welcome back to That David and Rob weekly podcast. Are we living in a simulation? Oh, are we though?
This has not stemmed from the conspiracy theories conversation of last week whatsoever.
We were having a conversation this week, and about 45 minutes in, I was like, this would have been a mega podcast episode, or even good for the vlog, and we didn't share any of it.
No.
Well, we didn't film it.
I think you was waiting for something to export on your laptop or something.
Yeah.
Like, mine was doing the same, or it was sending something. Yeah, it was just one of our many conversations to fill that gap where we're just waiting for things to load. And yeah, this time round was...
Are we in a simulation? I were having like a midlife crisis moment where I was like, I'm struggling to care about anything.
What's it called? An existential crisis.
Is that what it is? Yes,
I believe
that is what it is. You're right.
Yes.
So yeah, I have moments where I'm like, I really know what matters in my life. Like I've decided, like family really matters, friendships matter, like relationships basically matter.
Yep.
Everything else, I'm kind of like meh. Which let me explain and expand on, because we run a business as well that needs customers. So let me just explain what I mean by that though. What I mean is I'll never get too hyped up about some great wins. Oh, we've won a big business with a big contract. I'm like, oh, that's cool, and I feel hyped up for a bit. I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah.
But then when we have a week where we're like, oh, it seems like we might have a quiet period here, I don't get too low either. I'm kind of like just...
Happy medium.
Yeah, I'm like, well, you know, I get hyped up about some stuff because I just want to. And other stuff I'm like, oh, well, it seems like the world's ending, but it's not really. It's fine. So I'm like, so I struggle to like really feel for lots of stuff because I know what's really important. So basically, I have perspective at all moments, so I never really get too flustered. I never really get too I mean, I know it looks like I'm hyped all the time, but that's because I drink Red Bull and stuff.
Yeah,
but like that's what I mean.
You drink his energy drink.
Yeah. Let's clear that up straight off the bat. But today I want us to talk specifically about: are we in a simulation? What's your answer?
I mean, my answer is no.
Okay, but we wouldn't know.
But we wouldn't know anyway. And what sparked this, actually? I know what sparked this conversation. I've just remembered. So, I don't know if you're familiar at all with the film The Truman Show. Did it come out in... Can't remember when it came out. Jim Carrey film.
Years ago.
I'm going to take a stab in the dark at around the 80s. But I honestly don't know the release date off the top of my head.
That far back?
Late 80s, maybe early 90s.
Really? Hey, Siri.
Well, it might be late. It might be
when
full
did
90s,
the Truman Show come out?
I thought it might be like late 80s.
You started talking and it was like...
Oh, sorry.
1999, you're like you're in like 80s.
I thought like late 80s. I didn't realise it was as new as that.
No, I mean, it's still over 20 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it is 2022. Maybe I'm an existential crisis.
You're like, I'm sure I was only born in 2010.
It's only my birthday the other day, and now I've lost track of everything.
You've now got a 3 in front of your age, and your head's gone to pot.
Yeah, the years are just a sham.
So we were talking about that, weren't we? And I mentioned Kong Godzilla as well, where Kong's in like a big, massive fake dome, but it's made to look like real life, and then he throws a big tree and like breaks the sky. And then you got into the Truman Show.
Yeah, because what was in that Truman Show was the weather. Because it was a day where it was like sunshiny, followed by rain, followed by storms, followed by some hail, and then sun again, and then back to rain. And I was like...
We saw all that out of one window in one day.
It felt like that final bit, I mean, this is a spoiler if you ain't watched it, but I mean, it was released
in 20 years.
It was released in 1999, for God's sake. So there's a bit towards the end where he's getting out on the boat, and they're just throwing weather storms at him, like, to try and stop him, and then he just touches the side, and you're like... Yeah.
And he's out the Matrix. I can't actually remember any of it.
Yeah. So he just gets to the side. A little light shines, and out he goes into the real world. But I think the film ends as the door shuts at the end of the film. You don't see him actually in the real world.
Right. But so and what I remember, what I was saying was, isn't it mad that there's theories now about, are we living in a matrix? Are we living in a simulation? But these aren't new theories. Like, that's what you're saying about the Truman Show's like, over 20 years ago, there was a film made about humans being in a simulation. And I'm like, is this some sort of joke? Is it a clue? Is there a, let's say, programmer? So the programmer, some people might see it as like a god who's like controlling everything. But let's say we're in a simulation, so God would be replaced by a programmer. So this programmer, or maybe even a kid that's playing the game, the simulated game, whoever it is having a real laugh with us because they've programmed us enough to think and wonder about, are we in a simulation? But never gives us, there's never a definite answer or not. So it's like the ultimate, haha, this is fun.
And I suppose, obviously, you got the films.
And these are the little clues that they drop in to get us thinking.
Yeah, and you got the Matrix itself. That was 90s, wasn't it?
Yeah, and first Matrix, well, yeah.
Yeah, second one was like the year 2000 or something.
Yeah, I mean, there's been about 10 now. The one brought out like last year, weren't they?
There was.
The Resurrected Erect. I think that's the name.
It's still Neo though. Neo's not, is he real? Oh.
Neo's still erect, yeah. Probably.
I don't even know where to go from that.
Can you concentrate?
Yeah, games. So like The Sims.
The Sims?
I mean,
that's what we are.
Are we?
I don't know. So let's back this up with a little bit of, so I read a couple of articles and there's a couple of, I'm not going to start quoting who said what and all the rest of it. I'll just give you a brief overview of some of the things. I've literally read all this in like the last 10 minutes. So apparently there are some tech researchers and stuff that have said humans being in a simulation is not as mad a theory or as mad a thesis as you might expect. Because what they've said is the technology that we've got now, that obviously like not normal people like us aren't savvy to this, but we know we work with a company that's way ahead of what your average consumer's person is. Yeah. So what they're saying is there are technologies available now in like the mad tech science world that are almost at a point where they could start recreating a simulation of life. So they could, I think they called it something like, I should have screenshotted it, but it was something like ancestral recreation or something. So they were basically saying, we know so much about history and stuff, we could bring back to life some of these type peoples in a real life form. And that's how crazy science is getting. So they were saying it's not too far-fetched to think that there is another universe that's maybe a level above. Think of it if we're in a computer game and we're at like, humans are now at like level 10 or whatever, and there's like 20 levels or something. Someone at level 11 in the next universe is that bit further on where they have got that technology and have created another form of life, which is then us. And then at some point we might get to that next stage and we create another set, and that's the one below us. So, and I mean, these are science people saying this, and they're saying there's technology out there where they can recreate people potentially, or they're close to getting to that. We've already had, like, years ago, they recreated like a sheep or whatever, didn't they?
Yeah, cloned. Was it Dolly the sheep? Is that what that was?
Yeah, that rings a bell.
But I suppose, what about robots? So robots being programmed to not just reel off commands in the sense of like, oh, if someone says hello to you, you reply hello, like, but it's structuring a conversation. So it's like when you speak to like Siris and Googles and Alexas and things like that, like,
don't say it too loud. Everyone's just gone off.
Everyone's there now. Like, what are you gonna say? Huh?
They're all like,
I can reply to anything.
Yeah,
and like that's my point. Like, that's my point entirely. Is that they can reply to literally anything, and you can have a conversation that's back and forth with this device. So,
well, have you seen the Google feature on the latest Google phones over the last 2 or 3 years? Where they've now got, it's more in America than in the UK now, but I forget what it's called.
I don't call screening.
Part of your Google Assistant is it'll answer your calls for you. It'll ask questions, but not only that, they've gone a step further where now you can say, "Hey Google, book me an appointment at my local hairdressers," and you'll have already put in what your local hairdressers is and their details. Google, your phone, will ring them and book based on, it'll pull info from your calendar and it'll book you an appointment based on when it knows you're available.
Yeah.
And do it all for you, and you don't even have to ring up to book your hair appointment and stuff. I mean, the fact that that exists now for us normal people.
Yes.
Because you've got to think, technology companies like bloody
10, 20
Elon
years
Musk
ahead.
and all these, yeah, they're light years. Light years, that's another thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, I mean, the fact that we've got some of this technology starts making you think, we can program computers. Can we program them to really think and feel?
Well, that's
Are
it.
we just programmed to think and feel?
I think robots now are programmed to think.
What about feel though? Because you know when somebody says to me, you know, if you're doing a philosophy course, like I think one of my kids got this question when they were in high school, secondary school, whatever you want to call it, and it were like, what makes us human? And my answer was emotions.
I think like robots now, you could get them to respond. So if they say something, go, oh, this is deemed as sad. So this is the expression you pull in this moment. They obviously don't feel the emotion. They know that this type of conversation this tone of voice is shouting, so it's angry. So you need to be your expression because of that robot, isn't there, with the expression face. Have you seen it?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I think you can link expressions to terminology, but I don't think they can truly feel.
What if there's hundreds of years of programming though? Because obviously you'd be like, shouting is angry, and it's kind of like, is it always though? And also, I might find something sad that you don't find sad.
Yeah.
So it's all very
It's hit and miss.
Yeah.
It's hit and miss.
So, but are we just like thousands of years on, where we've been designed that, yeah, you will think and feel and stuff? Because, and I remember us talking the other day about, are our thoughts really our thoughts?
Oh yeah, this came after the conversation about the world.
So just talking about the programming and stuff, basically, when you think anything or you've got an opinion on something, is that truly what you think? Is that truly your opinion? Or are all your thoughts and opinions built up around the environment in which you operate? So the environment you grew up in, the places that you've worked, all of that impacts how you think and feel, and then that's how you then go out and respond to the world. So are you truly enraged by this thing you've seen in the news, or are you enraged because you're like, oh, actually I feel like I'm enraged because it's kind of what I've been told
I should be,
that I should feel like that. But then when you sit back and think about it, you're like, actually I don't really care about that. So it's like, how many of your thoughts are really your thoughts, or how many have been implanted?
Brainwashed.
But while I leave you with that, Jesus, you sat there now going like, oh my God, can you just do like this or that, or would you rather?
This is a very light Sunday evening chat for you, isn't it? This
is incredible. So this is another thing I read. So simply, this is with scientists talking, like tech scientists and stuff. Simply because we perceive the world as real and material doesn't mean that it is so, said Rizwan Virk, a tech entrepreneur and author of The Simulation Hypothesis. In fact, the findings of quantum physics may shed some doubt on the fact that the material universe is real. So they're saying the more they find out, the more they're thinking, this actually supports the argument that the material world may not actually be real. The more that scientists look for the material in the material world, and I'm doing that because it's got like
apostrophes, bookmarks,
the more they find it doesn't exist. So scientists and tech entrepreneurs and stuff are actually saying, the more we look into what is really material about the world, the more we're finding, don't actually exist. I mean, I don't really know what any specific examples that they're going on to talk about, but I started thinking, when you're looking at nature and stuff, like everything is kind of everything is kind of like living and moving, and it's boggling my head now because humans are made up of like millions or whatever atoms and different things like that, the same as what plants are made from, just in different forms. And then I know this is a little bit all over, but I'm just reeling it off as I remember it. Like radio waves and microwaves and X-rays. like, where is this? How right now are we like just atoms built up and shit, and then light's bouncing off us wherever light comes from? Well, I know the sun, but we're in a matrix. So light's coming off, it's bouncing us. We're going down this camera. This camera's then recording and showing it on someone's telly. I don't get it. Is any of it real?
Yes.
How?
I've got one for you. So, do you remember a few years ago now when the guy with Red Bull, I think it was, jumped?
And this is today's sponsor. Red Bull. It's not.
I don't know my drink. Oh, it's on the table. I say table. It's a desk, but it's literally a table that's converted to a desk. If you watched the Instagram, YouTube, everything live the other day, you noticed I had Rubicon Black Hot Cherry or something. Today we got Rubicon Strawberry and Kiwi.
Okay, what did this guy say?
But is it real? Hey.
It's not even real.
Who knows? Yeah, so this guy, Red Bull, he went up to like the atmosphere and did a parachute jump.
Didn't they do like a live broadcast on this morning? Ollie Willoughby and that with him.
It was live on TV. Like, you can watch the footage back. If you haven't seen, if you do watch the footage back,
and you're saying it's definitely real.
Yeah. So motion sickness is the trigger warning for that. If you feel a bit queasy, don't go watching back the Red Bull guy, because as he is falling at one point, the velocity of the speed he's falling, the guy just starts spinning, and the footage like it's like being inside a washing machine. But it regains itself and he doesn't die. That's not a spoiler either because it happened years ago.
Yeah.
But
is it real based on what we've been told is real?
It was live on that many places. It can't be a sham. So that was real.
Right. Here's an argument I've got with a lot. And by the way, I don't really believe that we're not real and all that sort of stuff. Playing devil's advocate here and just putting thoughts out there. So when people say, like, oh yeah, but there'd be too many people have to be in on it for it not to be real. I'm like, by the way, if you've got any children watching, mute or get rid of the kids. Santa.
Brilliant. Kids.
Hello. No, listen, I warned them.
Hello.
Right, and I said it quietly. So when people go like, there'd have to be loads of people in on it though. And it's okay, there's a lot of things that we're all in on that are absolutely bullshit. And things like, do whatever you want with this. The recent last 2 years, we won't mention it because I don't know if it suppresses the views and stuff. Yeah, I don't think but the last 2 years, the thing that everyone's gone through,
everyone knows about,
was that intentional by someone? Oh, it couldn't be intentional, could it? Could it? I'm not saying it was. I'm just asking the question. When people say, like, oh, this had to be because it was live everywhere, broadcast and stuff like that, I'm like, yeah, but they are very selective on what they show us. Such as the recent thing that's going on with Ukraine and all that lot. We all care about this now, rightly so, by the way, before anyone thinks that I'm a dick. Rightly so. However, it is happening across the world every day in other places that they're not showing us, so therefore we don't care. Or we can't care because we don't know what's going on. Yeah. So again, and we're all just fed stuff by the programmer.
And as well, like, how different other things are. So take into account, like, the Ukraine war, for example, is what's being shown in Russia isn't what everyone else is seeing. But then take like North Korea, for example.
I was just about to say North Korea.
Again, what they're showing isn't what everyone else is seeing.
Are we just lucky enough where we're in the more, I mean, it's a bit of a bad thing to say right after you've just mentioned that thing, but like, are we just lucky that we get more of the entertainment stuff as well? So it's like, oh, look, let's show them stuff that makes them think that they're happy.
Yeah.
And we're like, the world's not that bad. There's a couple of things going on here and there, but hey, X Factor's on Saturday.
I think it's a tough one, isn't it? Because, like, if you watch, I always use America as a prime example of this. So
where's this going?
Yeah. Okay. Is America real? No.
Is it?
Who knows? Never been there. But when you watch like American like kids programs, things like that, like they always are in like decent places. They're not like most people in Britain live in an average street, an average house. Like not everyone's in like big 5-bed like houses. Whereas, don't get me wrong, in America houses are generally bigger. But if you watch like a Louis Theroux documentary, because his money doesn't jiggle, if you watch one of them and then compare it to like the kids' TV shows, the kids' TV shows is always a well-off family. Like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah. America on most TV stuff looks like the Holy
dream.
Grail. Yeah, the American dream.
Yeah.
It's like sold, sealed, delivered, I'm yours. It is though, innit? I know exactly what you're saying. And so I suppose like in a roundabout way, what we're getting back to is, even if we're not in a simulation in terms of the whole world and the universe and some programmer that's doing it all, to a certain extent, we do all live in a matrix. We're all told you should, the American dream, what a load of nonsense that is. We're all told you should grow up, you go to school, then you go get a job, you pay taxes, you do a 9 to 5 and stuff. You have to buy a house by a certain age, you have to get married, you have to have some kids, and then you have to work your arse off till you retire at 75 or whatever it is. It'll probably be like 95 by the time we get there.
Yeah.
And that's life. The aim in life, like the average life, is to get married, have 2 kids, buy an house and work till you're 75 and then retire and do a bit. Like that's kind of what most people's goal would be. That's been programmed into us. There's now people like home educating. There's people traveling the world. There's like a digital nomads and stuff like this. People that are working from a laptop anywhere in the world and stuff. And they're proving you don't really have to do this whole social construct thing that we're being told. And I love the points you made there of of Russia and North Korea and stuff like that, because they are genuine, legitimate points about how we are getting programmed to a certain extent. Even if this is real, in real life, we're getting programmed to think certain things, to feel certain ways about certain situations.
But then at the same time, this is where you can flip back into like the realm of, is everything real? I've not been to Russia or North Korea. I've been told that they broadcast their own political agendas. I mean, there's a lot of evidence also stacks up against that, which is what I believe. But
is the evidence real?
I've never been there. So are we being told the lies? That's... Who knows? Who knows?
I don't know. Looking at that geezer from North Korea, it seems legit.
Yeah.
He's not your average bloke.
But to be fair, I do know people that have been to North Korea and they've said, like, it's all right.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong. I think living there and visiting it is 2 very different things.
Yeah.
So it's hard, as someone's never ever been there, to make any.
Donetta watches a lot. If Donetta were here right now, she'd be able to tell us loads. She's mad into North Korea, so like all that type of stuff. She loves it. The whole culture and everything. I'm not saying she loves that those things are happening. She just loves finding out about what the culture is like and stuff. So she'd be able to shed more light on that. Like we say, we ain't got a clue. We don't know. We're posing these questions. And then it ended up going a little bit political there about we're getting programmed by the government. Fuck the government. Fuck the system.
Whatever this podcast is titled, 23 minutes into it,
it's going to be titled, We Are Living in a Simulation.
Fair enough. There you go. Because I have no idea what the title is.
Where else this could go on forever.
Literally everything you could think of, like, you could flip against it.
And that's why I no longer know what's real anymore. And that's why I've just decided, listen, my close relationships are important, because I feel like if I've got to choose something to really care about, it may as well be the people around me and any people that I meet and stuff. People are important to me. But then, like if I had a job where, someone's going off the nut at me because a box has arrived a day late or something, I'd really struggle to care about that sort of stuff. I'd be like, yeah, that's not ideal, but let's calm it down a notch or two. Like, how much does it really matter? And you can see how that spirals out of control. And then when you're in the office on your own, you have to go live or something because you sit thinking, but what do I care about? Why don't I care about stuff?
I'm not even real.
Yeah, but also I don't care whilst also massively caring. I want this company to like do really cool things and be amazing, and like I want to deliver really well for customers and stuff. Like I care about doing that, but again, that results back to I want to do good for the people.
Yeah,
it's a weird one to explain.
I've got one interesting topic to end on. I'm just conscious of the time because the cameras will start conking out in the next.
You've got a couple of minutes. Go.
Right, go. Colours. Right? Is the sky actually blue? A tree is actually green. Like, because I've seen pictures where there's like no colour and it's just like dots of colours and your brain just patches it all together. And it goes, oh, yeah, that's green.
Your brain fucks you over all the time.
Words. Like, if the first letter's there, last letter's there, and the rest of the letters are right, but in the wrong order, your brain just like pieces it together and it's like, oh, these are the words. Like, so.
Is that because you've got a microchip in your brain?
Who knows? Who knows? Are we robots?
Jesus Christ, I think we are. Because I've done that before. I've read the full paragraph. And it was like, I've read it perfectly. Yeah. And then when you actually look at it, it's like, oh yeah, literally it's all jumbled up. And again with colours and stuff. I mean, is the sky a colour?
Well, no.
The sky can't be a colour. Isn't there a theory about this? Or theory, I mean, I don't know, science. Is the sky not just a reflection of the oceans and stuff?
Yeah,
and because the world is more ocean than it is land, it gives the impression that sky is blue. Because when you're looking from space down to Earth, there's not just a blue cover over it all, which would be the sky. You see land and shit, so it's actually transparent. It's just when we look up, the way light reflects off the ocean and stuff, I'm pretty I don't know. Someone science here, let us know. I mean, that seems to make sense in my head.
Yeah. But, I mean, there's a lot of interesting points there around this title that is, the hell's going on?
Who knows? Who cares?
No idea.
Not me. I've just made it clear I don't care about it.
So, I mean, I hope you sleep well tonight after watching this.
This is an head scratcher.
Yeah.
Right, I need to go.
Gonna throw us. So, yeah.
Well, you do the honours, pal.
Lovely. We're going to say end of pod and press this light that might be red, might not be.
End of simulation.